Hello, hello. Good morning. I'm trying to get everybody in here and admit everybody. Bear with me just a second. Good morning. Good morning. There's Kaylin. I'm sorry about that. I was trying to admit Kaylin, but here I am. Good morning. We're going to start this all over again. I'm sorry Harper's not feeling well.
Okay, she's fine. I just they're off of school tomorrow, so I was like, let's just have a long weekend,
Yeah,
get it out of the way.
get out whatever you're incubating.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Kaylin, do we get to see your face today? Because I haven't seen it in a long time. I miss it.
Did you
Hello.
just? I know. I can't figure out how to do this. Why is it so? Oh,
Ah, I'm like, girl, you run a podcast. Look at you, Glam Squad. Did they come to your
Fancy.
house this morning?
I'm at my office right now.
You look incredible.
Thank you. Hi,
Hi, Harper.
Kathy. Oh my God.
Um,
Hi.
My
Well,
children just got grounded from your child. I'm so sorry.
oh no.
They were bickering this morning. And so I was like, you're not going to play with any friends.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to take away stuff that they love so I can punish them.
you realize it's a punishment for you too, right?
I
Right.
do, but
Okay.
yes, I do. But
Yeah.
they love Harper so much. But she's sick, so I thought it would work. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Hi, honey.
You can go back and play.
Laura, I don't know what was wrong. I could not get any of the links to work, but the one in the email worked.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Well, I've got two other people trying to get in. I'm just going to make it their problem, not mine. I don't know why the link doesn't work either, but I will look into that later. Whole point of today is to talk about how to market your listing when it's on the market more than 14 days, right? So let's talk real quick about market conditions because you both already know what's going on, but obviously this is recorded and I want to make sure everybody gets value out of it as well. But the big thing is that like most agents that have been in the business less than 5 years have never had a listing sit on the market more than 40, right? Some of them never even had a listing, but most have not had a listing that sits on the market 2 weeks. And so we're looking at days on the market that are 30, 60, 90, 120 days. I've got one that's like 6 months. And I haven't seen that since like 2008, like 2007. And so what I thought about was that I know if I'm struggling trying to be creative in how to market my listing for more than 30 days, I know other agents out there have no clue what to do after it's been on the market 2 weeks. And so I kind of wanted to just go through with you guys and give you some tips and strategies of what to do when, um, what to do when your house is sitting a little bit and how you can be a little bit creative in, oh, well, it's telling me, uh, how you can be a little bit more creative and make it stand out a little differently. So let me grab this link real quick to my handout for you. And I'm really glad that you guys are here. Thanks for being here. I'm sorry you had a hard time getting in, but I'm glad you're here. So thank you. Honestly,
Glad to be here. Sorry, I had to close my office door.
no, it's okay. I'm glad you're here. How's everything going in your new spot? Your office looks pretty.
Thanks. It's okay. I haven't really moved in. Like this isn't really my style or anything, but um it's still in flux. Every day I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah, it's okay. Transition is hard. You know that. It's rough. And at the end of the day, people are working with you because you're the special sauce. It doesn't matter who you're powered by or brokered by.
Right.
You're going to attract your people regardless of the name on the sign, right? The name on the
Right.
sign matters in terms of reputation, but that's not why people are hiring you. They're hiring you because of you and your special sauce and you're
I
amazing.
know. If
You
I
know,
told my previous clients and they're like, what brokerage do I work for? They'd be like,
they
I
don't
don't
even
know.
know, right? They might know just because you've done a good job of branding, but they don't care. That's the point.
No, they don't care.
They don't care. Um, I am going to share my screen so I can get back to my handout here. Here. All right. First and foremost, you guys are super professional. Holly's been trained by me, so I know she knows my method. But I want to make sure that you know that I share my method with everybody, not just Holly. So obviously, you're already doing a lot of these things, Kaylin, I know. So some of it will work for you, some of it may be new. But your first and foremost thing is you've got to have captive, check your MLS listing, right? So I'm in a lot of Facebook groups where, the agent will say, this house has been on the market like 62 days. Do you mind looking at it and giving me some feedback? And I always, the first thing I do is go to the MLS if it's in a market that I serve in, and check to see, do they have professional pictures? Is the lighting off? Do they even have captive descriptions, or is it boring? Like, do they use the word boast 100 times? Did they write it through Chat GPT and it's awful? But not just the remarks, the private and public remarks, but your actual descriptions under your pictures matter too. So are you giving all the detail in the photos that insert value for both the clients, the buyers, and for the appraiser? So what you guys don't recognize is that, obviously you may know, but the appraisers are pulling your MLS listing and you're helping them do their job when they go to appraise the house. And I've had so many appraisers call me and say, hey, thank you so much for all the detail that's in your listing. That you really helped me because it made my job so much easier. And I really could see the value of how you listed it based on the detail you gave me. So I'm adding things like any upgrades that the owners have done, any name brands that they have. If it has Wolf appliances, I want to make sure the seller that we're marketing that we are using all that detail and all that information. If it's Carrera Marble or whatever name brands or name things that have a lot of value, you want to include those in your descriptions or include those in your captions under the pictures. Okay. That's much harder if you're marketing a mobile home or a manufactured home and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and there's nothing really special about it. You might not have as many captive descriptions to write, but share any detail that you can. Are all your disclosures in the MLS? We do things the right way. So I already know the answer is yes for both of you. But there's lots of agents out there that have listings and you have to call them and say, can I get the disclosure? Can I get this? Can I get that? And do your job. If you're the listing agent, all of that should be readily available in the MLS for me to download, whether I'm writing an offer or not. There are some agents who hold those documents hostage until they think somebody's going to write an offer. No, a buyer is entitled by law to have those disclosures up front before they write an offer, right? And then are your photos in order? So this is like a point of contention for me sometimes is an argument. I got into kind of a heated discussion with another agent at my former company and Kaylin's former company that this agent was like giving me feedback on my listing and he was ripping my photos all apart, like up and down, telling me that there's too many, they're not in the right order. Well, when I put mine in order, I put them in order by where, when I walk into the house, like what's the flow of the house, right? But I've heard some recent coaches say, no, put your money shots first and all the rest of the pictures afterwards. Because people do have ADD attention spans, they're not sure the layout or the floor plan of the house and how it flows. But I like to put them in order by what you see when you walk in the door. I like to put them in order by really, main living area. If you hit the door, is there a formal dining room or a formal living room? And then I go straight to the kitchen. And after the kitchen, I go to the family room, like wherever the main hangout spot is. And then I will go in the master bedroom and the rest of the bedrooms and any other ancillary areas. That's the order that I go in. There's some discussion from other agents that say, no, put your money shots up front. If the kitchen or the master bath or primary bathroom is the best looking room, then those should be your leading photos. But I feel like it confuses buyers sometimes too. So I want to make sure, I just feel like you should put it in order that makes sense, right? That doesn't confuse the client. And remember, they're looking at this online before they ever step foot in the house, right? You absolutely should be featuring it on your website. If you just have a landing page from your brokerage, it should be somewhere that you should be featuring your listings. There's a way that you can use your IDX codes, especially if it has IDX built into it, that you can have my featured listings somewhere on your webpage. Or you can have a dedicated website to each individual listing. So back in the day when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and the internet was all brand new, I had name writers on the top of all of my listings that had 123mainstreet.com. I would buy domain names for each one of my listings. The writer cost me $20. The domain cost me $11. And anybody driving by could go to 123mainstreet.com and get more information. Most people don't search that way now because we have Zillow and Redfin and all these other websites that they just go and put in 123 Main Street and it pulls up the information. But wouldn't you rather drive them to your website than drive them to Zillow or drive them to Redfin or anywhere else? So if you have a dedicated property website, and a lot of your lenders have these tools available if you're using list reports or some marketing center or something, they have dedicated landing pages for your website that you can have and then direct the traffic there or direct them to your website. But think about where you're featuring your listings and can they easily be found, and how are you making it easy for the public to get more detail about the listing that they can't find on Zillow? Is there anything extra there? If you have a video on your website that's not on Zillow, of course you want to drive traffic to your website for the extra stuff that they can't see on Zillow, especially if you have a hot listing. I want you to think about if you're a buyer and you find a house that you fall in love with. You are consuming everything about that listing that you can because you're really interested in, right? And so once you've looked at Zillow, you can only see so much. You're hungry for more. Is there something else that you can kind of hold back from Zillow that they can only get from your website? Right? That might be neighborhood information. It might be a walkthrough video of the house. It might be a walkthrough video of the neighborhood. It might be, nearby attractions or links to the neighborhood community Facebook page or something. But let's be careful with that because that could actually bite you in the butt. Sometimes giving the link to the neighborhood Facebook page because people are negative Nancy's and they're all up in people's business and it can turn people away. But my point is do you have anything you can hold back that you draw them to you instead of drawing them to the big website people? I know you both have Facebook business pages, so I'm not going to talk to you about that at length, but for my new people that are going to be watching this, you have to have a Facebook business page if you're going to do any advertising. And if you're a listing agent, you should be running sponsored ads, and you can't do that from a personal page. Your listings should all be as highlights on Instagram. You should have a highlight that has my listings or my featured listings on it. Those live evergreen. So once you create a story for it, you can put it as a highlight and it stays as a highlight for all your listings later. All that is proving success, right? Once that listing is already sold, someone can go to your page and see what kind of listings you take, right? What kind of listings have you had in the past? LinkedIn, again, I know a lot of you younger generation people don't use LinkedIn, but I want you to think about in the corporate world, so their coworkers moving to Nashville and they happen to see a listing on LinkedIn that they share with their coworker, right? You might not be connected to them, but you don't know who's connected to who. And your job is just to get as many eyeballs on that listing as possible, right? You should be emailing the listing to every single person in your database. That I think is a given, but most of you don't even use your database. You just put people in there to die, but that's a whole other class. You should be emailing the listing to your clients and ask them to share it on social media. This is a step that a lot of agents skip. They're not friends with some of their clients on Facebook. I know, Halen, you're friends with everybody you work with because they love you and they become part of your family. And that's how we all are. We get invited to their baby showers and graduations, but some people are not friends with their clients on social media. And so what you want is for them to share it themselves as well, so that their network can see the listing as well. You should be doing a walkthrough video of the house. Everybody kind of does some of these first things in those first 14 days. We're going to talk a little bit like what happens after those first 2 weeks. What are you going to do that's a little different? A blog post, if that's still your thing. The thing I like about blogs still, though, is that Google still does index those, and you can insert videos now into your blogs or your static blog and use keywords that can help you be indexed and found on Google. It's really for marketing and exposure than anything else. Your open houses, The first 3 weeks is when you're going to get the most of your traffic. After that, unless you have a price reduction or some major shift or change or something, your traffic is just going to decline. But you might be able to do something else, some other event, which we're going to talk about. You could host a broker open house event. When I owned my brokerage in South Carolina, all of my broker open houses were theme based. So, for example, Mardi Gras, we had a king cake, we had, Louisiana food. Everybody, we had decorations, we had a photographer. You've got to have something more than lunch to get people to come see your listing, right? It's got to be live music. It's got to be a drawing. They could win something. It's got to be the perfect time to fit into their calendar. It's got to be something interesting to get them to come look at it. Cocktails by the pool. It's got to be something, if any of you watch like the $1 Million Real Estate Agent, like New York or LA, most of their broker opens, and I don't use them examples for much of anything. But if you think about their broker opens, they're usually very wild themed, right? They're kind of over the top because you have to draw attention to it. If you just have a broker open house at this random house in the suburbs somewhere that's not really that special, what's going to draw people to stop what they're doing to come look at it, right? And you need eyeballs on it, so you've got to get them there. But I want you to be creative in the types of events that you host at the house. Share the listing with agents who have sold in the neighborhood in the last 3 months. So this is like one of the first strategies I give some of my coaching clients is, oh, I've had this listing for 45 days. What do I do? Have you looked up in your MLS houses that have sold in that price range, and have you put their listing in front of them? I'm not talking about an e-blast that goes out to 60,000 agents. I'm talking about putting this listing in front of a specific agent or calling that specific agent saying, I know you have a listing that's similar price to mine. It's not too far from mine. I would love to draw attention to my listing. In the event that you have somebody that's not interested in yours, I would really appreciate if you would mind promoting mine, as well. Want to make you aware of my listing at 123 Main Street. Circle prospecting to as many neighbors as possible with a letter or postcard. Again, about the postcards, they go in the trash if there's not something valuable on it. There's not a call to action on it that's actually worthwhile to them. Don't waste your time or your money just mailing postcards to go in the trash. It should be something of specific nature. But you should be circle prospecting around any listing that you have, period, because you want to leverage that listing to get more business in the future. You should be running sponsored ads. Again, we talked about that. Pin or Pinterest highlighting unique features or design. Are you even using Pinterest to advertise or market your listing? You've got to be creative. Your house is sitting and you're not getting traffic. You've got to put it anywhere and everywhere somebody might see it. And Pinterest might not just help you promote this one particular listing, but it could help you promote your business in general, right? Put out a flyer box or for sale sign. Back in the day, and again, this is me dating myself, dinosaurs roaming the earth and Moby Dick was a minnow. But we had flyer boxes outside on all of our signs all the time. I mean, you didn't have a listing without colored flyers attached to a flyer box on the sign, so people driving around could pull up a flyer and get more information from it, right? That's just another thing that you can do. You can put a QR code on your rider or a separate sign in the yard that has a QR code that takes them to that private information that you're not going to put on Zillow, that you're not going to put on Redfin, like stuff that you're reserving for your website or for your information. Oh, like, let me send you this. You can't get it from anywhere else but from me, right? I want you kind of to be the gatekeeper of something. If you put everything out in the universe for everybody to have access to, what do they need you for? Right? I want them to have to call you, say, hey, do you want a floor plan? Reach out to me, right? Do you want to see a walkthrough video? Reach out to me. I'll send it to you, right? You could use your mini chat for that, Holly, that that course you paid so much money for. You could be using your mini chat to say, do you want a floor plan of this listing? Would you like the neighborhood rules and regulations? Like, comment the word rules and I'll send it to you, whatever that is. But you could be using your mini chat feature to dole out the stuff that you're kind of keeping guarded and private so that you can generate leads from that listing, and not put everything out that's easily accessible for everybody, right? I'm not talking about the things that agents need. I'm talking about things that a buyer might want that's extra after they've already studied everything that's on Zillow, they're still hungry for more. They're looking for another video. They're looking for another picture that maybe they haven't seen yet, right? Is there anything that you can guard and gatekeep and keep back? Let's see. Oh, are you using solar lights to shine on your signs at night, right? Or does your advertising of your listing stop when the sun goes down? It's $25. Go put a sign in the ground, a little solar light in the ground, and it'll light up your sign at night, right? Again, trying to make your listing stand out from all the other signs on the street as well. Invite other agents to promote and market their listing on their own business pages. This is a big one just in terms of, again, what is your goal? Your goal is to sell the house, yes, but my goal when I'm listing it is to get maximum eyes on it as possible. I want them to be I know y'all are so sick of seeing my listing at 5661 Leapers Creek Road because I have been promoting the crap out of it, right? But that's what I want. I want it to be promoted so much that you're so sick of seeing it, right? But invite other agents. I don't care who puts it on their website because that's just more exposure for my client. That's more exposure for my listing, right? The more people that are sharing it and showing it, the more eyeballs that are in it, the more showings I'm going to get. I don't care who promotes it. Are you hosting a community event at the listing? You could do a food drive, a soup swap, lunch and learn. If the house that you're listing is set up that way, maybe you have that type of event, something that's philanthropic. Invite the community to participate or help, right? Or can they drop off donations there or something like that? But draw attention to the address, and in what way can we do that? Have something there that is worthwhile. Enhance the listing on Zillow or Realtor, Redfin, etc. Obviously, make sure that you've got full detail. Don't just rely on the syndication to present the whole picture. So, for example, if you are a Zillow Premier agent, you can go in and enhance that listing and add more detail than just what's syndicated from the MLS, right? So you'll notice that sometimes your descriptions that you took so much time writing, those don't always translate to all those third-party websites. So maybe you have to go to that website and actually add some of the detail and description because all of that didn't come through with the syndication. So are there ways that you can beef up the listing on these big aggregate sites? Some of them you have to be a paid agent to do that, to pay ads to be able to enhance the listing, and other ones you just log in and enhance them. So are you including your listing in your monthly newsletter? Are you even sending a monthly newsletter? But if you are you putting your listings on them, right? Do you have something that's like my featured listing of the week or featured listing of the month? If you don't have any listings, use somebody else's. But are you including it on your monthly newsletter at all? Some of you aren't because you're so used to the house selling in 2 weeks. But remember, the bad part about houses flying off the market is you don't get to leverage the listing to get more clients, right? Think about in the past 3 to 5 years, you put a house on the market, it goes under contract within 3 to 5 days. Once it goes under contract, you're kind of cutting off your ability to generate more leads from it because people are like, oh, it's already gone, right? There's a sweet spot between 7 days and about 21 days that you can generate a ton of leads on, right? You can promote it with sponsored ads, you can host events, you can do all kinds of things. You have time to market it to generate leads. When it goes under contract on day 6, you've kind of cut off your lead flow by half, right? So the thing is even if it goes pending, you should be promoting the listing is already under contract, or that, we had a great traffic at the open house or whatever it is. But you should be promoting those listings because they live evergreen. Again, it's evidence of your success. Are you posting a video of your listing on your Google business page? So video, you already know, this is 2024 for God's sake, that videos are indexed higher by Google than anything else out there, right? The video makes it rank at the higher part of the algorithm. It makes it more visible. Your Google business page, you can add videos, not just photos, right? Which is going to help your Google business page get indexed faster and higher. So are you putting your listings on your Google business page? Right? So I would encourage you to look into that. I know some of you may know that HomeSnap is no longer, it's like owned by a different company and we don't have that anymore. And I really miss HomeSnap, but they used to have an advertising program, and I know you still can do it through Waze. Are you posting your open houses or your listings on Waze? When people are driving around, it will pop up that you have a listing there. Yeah. Do you have a YouTube channel? Are you posting videos of your listings on YouTube? Again, those live evergreen, right? Even if it goes under contract in 5 days, you should be posting videos, a walkthrough video of your listing on YouTube. You should be promoting that link. You should also use keywords and keywords for your video so that it can be found. The other thing is that make your videos different. So, for example, if I do a walkthrough video and I post that one time, maybe the next time is not a whole walkthrough video. It's a short clip video about with me out by the pool. Maybe the next video is me in the kitchen highlighting the features of the kitchen. And the third video might be in the primary bedroom, right? And the bathroom. You can take that house, the walkthrough video would be one piece of content, and you can break it down into small segments and have multiple videos promoting that same listing, right? That lets people behind the curtain. It lets people know how you operate. It lets them get a chance to know you. You are also splitting up the way you're presenting the video of the listing so that it's not boring. You can't just keep putting the same link to the walkthrough video over and over and over again. You've got to have something different that you're doing. Does that make sense? Y'all with me? Okay. Email the flyer to any agent that's sold in that price range in the last 6 months. For your luxury listings, this is really important, right? So you're sending it out as an e-blast to 60,000 agents in your market. Most of those are going to the trash. Most of them are going to spam. They're not even looking at them. But if I am a luxury listing agent and I sell houses between 1.5 and $2 million, and you take a listing that fits in that price range, you absolutely should be personally sending me that listing. If you've got anybody in this price range, those relationships are going to how you're going to continue to build your business and get your listings sold by other agents. They may not even have somebody today, but tomorrow somebody might drop in their lap that's in that price range, and you planted that. Y'all hear me talk about the red car seed all the time. You planted the red car seed that you have this listing, and now they're thinking about it. Don't force them to go to the MLS to find it. You put it in front of their face, right? Post in hyperlocal buy-sell trade groups. Be sure to read the group rules first. But there's lots of hyperlocal groups out there like HIP Donaldson and HIP Madison and, like the buy-sell trade Franklin or Brentwood or whatever. If they allow you to promote your listings, you should be promoting your listings in there, right? All right. After week 1, you're going to stop posting graphics of the front of the house. And you're going to start posting pictures of the interior things. So instead of the main picture of the front of the house, I'm going to highlight the kitchen or the fireplace or the pool or the fire pit or whatever feature of the house or the neighborhood. But I want to stop just putting the static picture of the house week after week after week after week. You get to put the picture of the front of the house the first time and maybe the second time. And after that, we got to go inside and show something different, right? People are tired of seeing the picture of the front. They need to see some of the interior pictures, right? You just want to promote the same listing in a different way. You just want to make sure that it doesn't get, people aren't bored seeing the same picture over and over and over again. You should be sharing your listings with your people, your vendors. Does your favorite lender, are they also promoting your listing? Right? Some of them are offering you some buy down credits for the rate. Some of them are offering you some type of incentives. Some of them are willing to show up to your open houses, but are they also promoting your listing with their network, right? Are they sending it out to their database for you? They might just post it on Facebook, or they might comment and say, nice listing. That's not enough. I want it to go out to everybody you've ever sold a house to, who you've ever done a loan for. Are you asking them to do that? Your photographer, excuse me, is your photographer also sharing it with their network? Look at the house I shot last Tuesday, right? Your stage or your lawn care person, whatever. Ask them to share it with their network. Include listing on a property tour. We don't do those very much in Middle Tennessee anymore. I used to do them once a month. I used to have a bus tour that obviously we would choose listings in a price range in a certain area of town. and then we would go around and tour those houses. And we would invite agents from all of their companies. But there are still some companies that do tours. See if you can feature your listing on a property tour of some sort. You should be asking your lenders for a buy down credit if they offer that kind of thing, or whatever kind of incentive. Is there a home warranty that the seller wants to add to the listing? Remember, if your house is sitting on the market a little bit longer, the longer it sits on the market, people start to question what's wrong with it. Even though it's the market, it's not a condition of what's wrong with the house, but you want to mitigate their fears. If it's been on the market for 42 days, or maybe it was under contract before and fell out due to inspection, and your seller actually did all the repairs, but the buyer walked. Maybe you should add a warranty to give the buyer peace of mind, right? Are there any incentives that you can add that would help promote this listing? If you have a buy down credit from your lender, is there a sign? Is that in your description? What are the details of that buy down incentive? And are you leveraging that incentive to help get traffic or get people through the door? Post live virtual tours, walk through the listing, the property, or the neighborhood. Have you ever videoed down the street in the neighborhood and highlighted what the houses look like, the variety of houses? Is there a work-life balance where people are walking from their house to the restaurants around like 12 South or something? If I'm in Nashville, are there areas of town that you could literally video the places nearby, like how far the grocery store is, or the park across the street, or whatever that is, or the community amenities in the neighborhood? It doesn't just have to be the house, right? One of the things you need to work on is not selling the house, but selling the lifestyle of what the house is, right? The features of what it's like living there. Focus less on the house. You're going to highlight the features, but really you're highlighting the lifestyle that it creates, right? Of what people who live there are going to feel when they live there. You need to tap into people's emotions and the lifestyle vision that they have. Does this fit that, right? You should be adding to your stories. Are you handing out flyers and or cards for listings at the networking event? So I used to do, again, back in the day, some of these things all come back around. When you're in this business long enough, 25 years, things that you did in 1990 sometimes become relevant again. Sometimes they don't. But we used to have like business cards made up with information on the house on it. And we would leave those in local businesses. So it would have like a link, the website to the information. It might have a QR code, but you can get a box of cards for $12 that have a picture of the house. So you can be super creative with that in your marketing, especially if the house has a pool or something. You can have postcards or business cards or something like that. But are you promoting the listing anywhere other than online? Is there some way that you are promoting that listing without just posting a link to the MLS listing? You just need to be creative in how you do that. Community bulletin boards too, like believe it or not, your Paneras and your Chick-fil-A's still have community bulletin boards, and there's other places like that, the YMCA, the community centers. Are you putting a flyer that has this month's listings on it? If you have inventory, if I have 7, 8, 9 listings, I would do a flyer with all my inventory on it and go pop that bad boy up on the bulletin board, right? If I don't have 9 listings of my own, I can go ask other agents, can I promote your listing on a flyer that I'm going to hang on a local bulletin board? It's old school, but again, it lives there longer than a day, right? People look at those things when they're standing there waiting in line for the bathroom, or when they're waiting for their kid to come out of the bathroom, whatever it is. Like, is there another way that you can promote your listing? These are just ideas and suggestions. Seasonal promotions. Again, if it's a lake house, I'm going to highlight during those season, or an outdoor kitchen for holiday entertaining, a pool during the summer, hot tub during the winter. Are there seasonal things that you can highlight that people would recognize that this is absolutely something I would, I would enjoy during a certain time of the year? Those are just some minor suggestions. The big thing that I want you to understand is that I want you to look at the listing and say, am I doing what everybody else is doing? Are people bored with the way that I'm marketing this? Is there some other way that I can highlight something other than the main picture of the front of the house, right? How can you make your listing stand out? How can you drive traffic to the listing? How can you get it in front of more eyeballs? How can you get them to reach out to you for your call to action to get more? And that's by being the gatekeeper of some things, right? And then how can you be creative to get more attention? So, Kaylin, because you're on the call, I'm going to put you on the spot. What are some things that you have done that you feel are creative ways to market your listing?
Well, I've used a lot of what you have done.
Sure.
So what I did, my favorite way that I did it was pretty much everything. I had a listing on Indiana, which is kind of in like the area is still up and coming, but it was decorated so cute and funky. And so I did a Wes Anderson like listing video.
Okay.
And then I took, and it was marketed as like the Bachelorette Airbnb. So for my broker's open, I invited past clients.
Love it.
That I had just closed with because I need people to show up.
Yeah.
And then I had live music, my girl Erin sang, and I invited my family. So that when there were only 6 or 7 people that came from, because I also pushed it out on Facebook ads and the meta and all of that.
Yeah.
There were only 7 people that came outside of who I like personally invited. But one of those people, they saw the whole room filled and they bought it because they were like, this is the hottest thing.
Right.
And it was because I filled the house.
Right. Well, think about who's watching that too. There are nosy neighbors that are at home working from home, and all of a sudden they see 7 cars or 8 cars or 10 cars pull up. It doesn't matter that they're all your friends or who. It doesn't matter that they're not actual buyers. What matters is, are the neighbors watching all the people come down the street? When we did our bus tours, I would have people come out of the house and walk up to the bus while we were waiting to load or unload. And they would say, "What is this? And why isn't my house included on it?" And I'm like, "Well, unfortunately, we did ask your agent and your agent declined to participate." And they were pissed, right? But the neighbors of your listing are watching. I love that, Kaylin. Thank you for sharing that, because I think you've got to do whatever you can to be creative. You also need to think about, you've got to put your party event planner hat on and think, what would draw me, a busy agent that actually has clients, what would draw me to stop what I'm doing or to block off this time to come see this house for you, right? Because you're wanting me to come by and preview it. You're wanting me to come eat your lunch or hear your girl sing or whatever you wanted me to do, or you want my feedback so that you can share it with your seller because they're not hearing you. What is the purpose of it? I'm trying to get as many eyeballs on it, and I'm trying to get as many people through the door as I can. So it doesn't matter who I invite. I want to create a frenzy and create buzz around the listing. And that means you have to be creative about creating an event that draws people in the door. That's why I said things like, can you tie something philanthropic to it, right? Can you do an event where people bring canned goods, invite whoever you want? They don't have to be buyers and sellers. They don't have to be agents. How can you get people in the door, period? How can you really highlight that address? Love it. Holly, do you have anything creative that you've done in the past or thoughts of how to promote a listing more than just when you get a brand new listing?
No.
No.
I've had so few and they have gone quick. Most of them have gone quickly except for this one right now. So,
okay. No. All right. But so I'm going to take a step further to it, and that's okay. I also want you to be very creative about where you are promoting the listing. So, for example, if I have a horse property, right? I have a mini farm that has horses on it. I need to think, who's the potential buyer of any listing I have, right? And you're not going to always know exactly who's going to buy the house, but for a specific type of property like a horse farm, I know it's going to be horse enthusiasts, people who own horses or people who ride horses, people who show horses, people who train horses, right? Who do I know in the horse community? Where are the places that they hang out? Where do they look at things? Can I get access to their barns or their trainers or the tack shops? If I have a horse property, you better believe I'm going down to every tack shop in town where they buy their riding pants or they buy their gear. And I'm going to ask, do you mind if I put these cards on your counter? I have this listing. It would be great for anybody who owns more than 6 horses. I would love to try to sell it to somebody. And your clientele are the people who are probably going to buy it. right? Somebody comes into that store. You've got to be creative and think about where the person is going to see the listing, who is my potential buyer, and how can I reach them? I cannot rely on, this is the point, you cannot rely on the MLS, you cannot rely on Zillow, you cannot rely on Redfin or any other aggregate site that person is going to see it there. You have to think about where they're going to live, where do they eat, where do they go to church, who do they hang out with, where do they socialize, what are their kids involved in, who is the buyer of this house, and how can I get this house in front of them? And then how can I market it over the course of 60 days? If it's sitting, how can I market it each week in a different way that doesn't bore people, right? Is there a different feature that I can promote? Is there something else I can do? The one thing I do want to mention to you is the most important part of this. Your sellers do not know what you're doing behind them. They don't know what all you've done to promote their house. You should have a weekly marketing update that you're sending to your seller that includes, where did we promote it this week? Who did we send it to? How many inquiries did I field on the phone or email? How many agents did I send it to? What events do we have planned? Any feedback that we've gotten from showings, and what your marketing plan for next week looks like, right? Because in the absence of showings, it breeds insecurity, it breeds doubt, and your seller starts to question, did I hire the right person for this, right? When they see weekly what all you're doing, then they understand that it is a byproduct of the market and not an absence of your marketing efforts, right? So you should have a templated marketing update email to your sellers that you tell them every week what all you've been doing to market and promote their house. Okay. I do have a marketing your listing checklist that just has some ideas. It's not all inclusive, but some ideas of where online you market it. And then in the corner, you can write your marketing notes if you listed it on buy, sell, trade groups, or you listed it on Facebook Marketplace. Y'all stay away from Craigslist. I know it says advertise on Craigslist on here. That is from 1987 that we did that. These days, Craigslist is still a place that you can promote it, but I don't have time to sift through all the fraud and all the scams that exist on Craigslist. And then what also happens is people will take your listings off of Craigslist, they will duplicate it, and they scam people and turn it into a rental for $500 a month, and it's a $800,000 house. I don't waste my time on Craigslist, but there are people in some markets. Craigslist is actually still a viable place. So that is why it's on my list. But I just want you to understand I'm not dumb, and I'm not, giving you 1980s marketing tactics. I just want you to understand in some markets, Craigslist is still effective. So, but you have a place for you to take notes of where all did you post it, who did you send it to, whatever. We talked about all of these already, but under direct marketing, here's the other thing I want you to think about. When you're advertising and promoting your listing, am I being proactive or am I being reactive, right? Am I putting out something that's passive, or am I actually going to be aggressive? So for example, if I'm handing out information about a listing, am I asking for their contact information in return so that I can follow up? Am I doling out pieces of information over a period of time, or am I giving them everything at once, right? When you give them everything at once, if they're not interested, they're not interested, right? But if you're doling out little pieces of information, keeping them coming back, you can keep their interest a little bit longer. This is just a checklist of all the things we talked about already. I just wanted you to have kind of a checklist. Did you do all the things that you should do to market the listing? You should go through your own listing process and say, do I have a list of where all I market and promote my listing? The other thing is when you have a price reduction or some kind of update, you've added an incentive or something changes about the listing, you're going to want to have a list of where all you promoted it so that you can go back and update that, right? Especially if you have a price reduction or something, or if you had your house listed on Facebook Marketplace, you had a price reduction, you forgot to go back to Marketplace to adjust that, right? So I like to keep a list, where all did I promote it, so that I can go back and fix that. Any questions for me, or something I didn't answer, or something you were hoping to get out of today that I didn't cover? did you walk away with at least one nugget of something you didn't know, or something that you were hoping, or something that you were like, okay, ooh, I hadn't thought about it.
The Waze thing, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I would love to know how that pops up too. I don't use Waze, but people are always dropping by, like from signs when you have an open house, people drop by. So like if you're on your way to somewhere, you'd be like, oh, I
And
like that.
you can post your open houses on Waze. That's the thing. You can dump. I don't know if they charge you per if you have to pay monthly or if it's per listing, but I do know that that advertising platform still exists, that you can promote your listings on Waze. You know, are you running ads on YouTube, right? Or any of these other streaming devices that you realize now that all these streaming devices, no matter if you have a subscription or not, a lot of them have ads, right? There are ad campaigns you can run on those streaming services too, that are actually not as expensive as advertising on cable TV shows, right? But I digress. Like, there's just lots of things. You need to be creative in how you promote your listing. You've got to think outside the box. And my biggest advice to you is be different. Don't advertise your listing like everybody else does. I'm not saying you need to create a wrap for each one of your listings and all of that different. I'm just saying it needs to be attention getting, and you need to get maximum eyeballs you can, and you cannot rely on aggregate websites to get the attention that you need, right? You've just got to be creative. Over time, you're going to start with your master list when it first goes on the market, and over time, you're going to have to swap it up. People are going to get tired of seeing that same picture of the front of the house. What else can I highlight? What else can I do? Right? How else can I get attention to it? And so use the house, leverage the house to get more business, leverage the house to get people to attend, leverage the house to establish relationships with other agents, leverage the house to pick up other buyers and sellers, right? What can I do to get maximum attention on this address, right? So I hope this was helpful to you. I really appreciate you guys showing up today. We will be back here next week, same back time, same back channel. RECCzoom.com is how you will find us. I will make sure that link works and is tested before next week. Y'all go out and kill it today. And thanks so much for being here. And I appreciate you.
Can I do a screenshot of us all on the screen?
Of course. Yeah. Hang on.
How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I'm going to stop my sharing.
Okay.
Look how pretty you look.
No, I don't need to be screenshotted.
You're screenshotted.
Yes, you do. Of course you do. My girls.
I did it.
Anyway, y'all go have a great day. I appreciate you so much. And you know how to find me if you need anything. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Have a good day. Yeah.